Welcome to our BCS Digital Learning session on breakout rooms in Zoom. First of all, what are breakout rooms? Breakout rooms are a way to take your Zoom meeting whole group and split it into different small group meeting rooms with students. After a certain amount of time, you can then bring those rooms back together into a full Zoom meeting whole group experience. The first thing that you would need to do is to log into IAM, then click on Clever. Through Clever, you'll see a Zoom icon. You'll need to click this icon to go to your Zoom settings. The Zoom settings are on the left, and if you scroll down to the Advanced section, you'll see the Breakout Room toggle. Toggle this on to allow splitting participants into separate smaller rooms called breakout rooms. Before you split your class into a breakout room, you want to consider some things such as classroom management and accountability for those students. A good way to start using breakout rooms is to use it for social emotional learning activities. This is an example. We used a bingo sheet. We shared a copy of this bingo sheet in the chat for the students to each have their own copy. Then when they were put into a breakout room, they used this activity as an icebreaker or a getting to know each other activity. Again, think about what you want the students to do ahead of time and how you're going to share the activity instructions with them. Would you share it in your learning management system, such as Google Classroom or Canvas? Or do you want to make it available inside the chat for the students? Just make sure there are clear instructions before you send the students to the breakout rooms. When you're ready, you'll click the breakout room icon. Let's pause a minute and let you go to your IAM, Clever, and Zoom settings and turn on breakout rooms. Click pause on this video, then click play once you've got the setting changed. Now that we're ready, let's click the breakout room icon. The first thing that will pop up is a way to select the number of rooms, either automatically or manually, to put participants in them. So I'm going to actually choose the number of rooms that I need in this box by using the toggle up and down arrows. And I've got it set for automatic. And next I'll get a pop-up screen that will allow me to assign the students in my class to those rooms. When I hover over the assign, students who are not in a room will appear and I can just put them in the room that I need them to be in, if I didn't choose the automatic. If I chose automatic, I can hover over their names and move them from room to room. One thing that's really important with the settings is the countdown after the closing breakout room time. What happens is when you close the rooms, students are given a pop-up message to leave the room, and the countdown begins. They can sit there for the entire countdown time and finish a discussion. 10 seconds is usually enough. If you've got longer set countdown timers, it makes it time-consuming to pull the whole class back together. Now's a good time to pause the video again. Set up a Zoom meeting. Click the breakout room icon and play with the settings. Once in breakout rooms, the host will see a list of their students in each of the rooms. Again, they can hover over the names to move them to each of the rooms, and the rooms can be renamed. Also notice in the bottom right of the screen is where you would close all rooms and an ability to send a message to all of the students who are in the rooms, maybe reminding them that there's only 1 minute left before they'll be pulled back to whole group. Again, at the bottom, notice that when you're getting ready to send students to a room, you can add extra rooms if you decide to change the activity. These room selections and group selections will stay in this order until you change them or end this Zoom session. One thing to note is that only a host can create breakout rooms and send students to the breakout rooms and manage them. Co-host can be placed into a room and can jump between rooms as well. We'll talk more about that later. The best experience of practicing Zoom breakout rooms is to actually be a host. So in this session, when we did it live, we actually took turns with each other being the hosts. Here's what we did. We would assign a host. That host would practice creating a breakout room and explore options, and then would practice bringing all the students back, ending the rooms, and then we would transfer the hosting capabilities. To do that, you click on Participants in the Zoom, you hover over that name of a participant you want to be the host, and then you choose Make them the host of this session. It's not advisable that you practice this with students in the way of giving them hosting capabilities. However, again, the best way to learn how to do breakout rooms is to practice. While you're in the rooms, look for options. Play around with the features. For example, in this slide, you can see that one of the hosts sent us a message. Also, look at the different types of views that are available. In the top left, you can see which room you're in. So if you are the host and you are joining rooms to see how it's going, you can see what room you're in the top left. In the top right, you can click on the view to change the views. This is a gallery view. And in the bottom, if you've got it turned on, students can share their screens, and students could record. Notice how it looks different with tiles on the right that can be moved around. And finally, this is a view setting where the speaker is pinned. Again, this is a great time to play around with all of the features, including reactions, and even asking for help, and the chat feature while you're practicing breakout rooms. Once the host decides to close the rooms, they will click Close All Breakout Rooms. Each of the breakout rooms will get a message that pops up to allow them to leave the breakout room by clicking on the blue button, or they can continue conversations, and after the countdown completes, they'll be returned to the main room. Let's look at some ideas about how to use breakout rooms. In the article linked below, Catil Martin discusses 5 ways of using Zoom breakout rooms: building relationships, using them for small group interaction, higher order thinking, critique and revision, and reflection and celebration. Now's a good time to stop the video and review the article. Then we'll look at a couple of those ideas together. Let's look at a couple of those. Let's start with small group instruction. In the next couple of videos, you're going to see Mrs. Griffin, a kindergarten teacher, and Mr. Kling start a Zoom together and instruct the kids what's going to happen. Then the kids will go into breakout rooms. Ms. Griffin will do some direct literacy instruction with her small group, while Mr. Kling will do another activity with a small group. When it's time to rotate, Ms. Griffin will take Mr. Kling's group, and Mr. Kling will take Ms. Griffin's group. Watch these videos to see how this works out.
So go ahead and make sure you're muted, and we're going to start with a song, and then we will begin for today.
Alan, you are very entertaining, buddy.
All right.
I'm just singing a song, so I know.
Okay, guys, we are ready. Hello, friends. Welcome. We are going to be writing a sentence together today.
And we are going to look at a let's find out, which we've done these let's find outs before. This particular one talks about feelings.
There are lots of other templates that are available to also help with organization, management, and student accountability. Let's look at a couple of those examples. This is a template used by Amber Alford at A.C. Reynolds High School. On the left are the number of breakout rooms. The students get a copy of this Google slide. When they're in their breakout room, they'll go to their room number, put the group student names in the top, and take notes. The teacher can then watch these notes happening live while the students are in their breakout room. This is the same example used by an ELA teacher, and you can see the students' notes. The students put their names at the top and then their notes on the slide as they did their activity in their breakout room. This is a science example from Megan Sanders. Notice the same template has been used by a different subject area teacher. This teacher's directions ask them to make a chart. So for example, group 1, the students put their names in the top right and did a chart for their notes. Let's look at a Google Doc example. Miss Love gave the students a Google Doc so that each group had their own copy, and the students edited this Google Doc as they were in their breakout rooms. We'll look at another example of a Google Doc used by Christina McMinn. In this Google Doc, the teacher divided the groups up with tables. She already had their names in, or you could ask the students to put their names in the group, their emails, once the group had their doc open, one group leader would then share the document with the other team members using their email. This Google form asked the classes to tell which period they were in, so it was used for multiple classes. They would list the name of the people that were in their group. It would also talk about who was filling this form out, so who was the note taker in the breakout group. And then they listed their ideas, summarizing their discussion in their breakout time. Here's a social studies example. Again, group members, what period are you in, so that the teacher only has to keep up with one Google form, and then reflective questions that the students would reply to while in their breakout room. Let's now take a minute and reflect about what we learned about Zoom breakout rooms. One thing that's important is to be prepared. You might want to set ground rules similar to what you've done for your Zoom meetings. The next thing is to practice. In the description of this YouTube video is a link to the Google Slides, this presentation, that contains resources as well as information about what we've covered today. You're welcome to use that to refer back to it, to take the quiz. The link to the quiz is also in the description of the YouTube video. After completing the quiz with 100, you'll be emailed a link to Frontline, formerly My Learning Plan, to sign up for CEU credit. After you've completed that, you have one more assignment. Either set a date to practice breakout rooms with colleagues, or go ahead and get started and plan a breakout room activity for your students. These are some resources that will be at the end of this slideshow if needed. Thank you for participating.